In this video, we will show you the proper service procedure for your Dominion A4 caliper. For the caliper service, you will need our Dominion A4 caliper rebuild kit, part number 98-36140-K001, a 5, 4, and 3 mm hex wrench, a T10 Torx wrench, a plastic pick, a torque wrench, a T10 Torx bit, a T30 Torx bit, a 3 mm hex bit, a spare caliper bracket and mount bolts with washers, a bench vise, access to compressed air with a rubber tip nozzle, safety glasses and gloves, lint-free shop towels, a ratchet, DOT 5.1 fluid, and isopropyl alcohol. Step 1. Caliper disassembly. To begin your caliper service, completely remove your brake system from your bike using a 5 mm hex for the caliper mount bolts and a 4 mm hex for your master cylinder clamp bolts. Once removed from the bike, remove your pads from the caliper by taking out the kingpin pad retainer using a 3 mm hex key. Next, remove the hose from your caliper by removing the banjo bolt from the side of the caliper with a 4 mm hex. Be sure not to lose both seals on either side of the banjo bolt and to inspect both the banjo and the mating surface for any cuts or debris. Secure the caliper by mounting it to your spare bracket. Clamp the bracket into the bench vise. Now, loosen the two bridge bolts with the T30 Torx bit and your ratchet. Remove the caliper from the bracket and it will come apart into two pieces. Remove the transfer port O-ring and inspect it for any cuts or debris. Be mindful not to damage the O-ring seat during removal, as this could lead to a leak later on if damaged. To remove the pistons from the caliper bodies, use compressed air. Angle the caliper so that the pistons are facing away from you and cover them loosely with a rag or towel. For the inboard caliper, threading one of your caliper mounting bolts finger tight into the banjo hole can help direct pressure into the piston. Making sure that the bleed plug is still installed, direct compressed air into the transfer port hole. Again, a rubber tip nozzle is required so that you do not scratch the transfer port surface. This will force the first piston out of the caliper half. Again, make sure that you have a clean rag covering the pistons to prevent them from shooting across your work area. With the first piston removed, you will need to cover the open hole with your rag and thumb to allow enough pressure to build up and push out the second piston. With both pistons free from the caliper, carefully remove the square seals using a plastic pick. Again, do not damage the sealing surface as this could cause leaks later on. Remove your bleed screw using a T10 Torx bit. This will help when cleaning the caliper. Repeat the same steps on the second caliper half. With both caliper halves free of their pistons and square seals, clean the internals of the calipers using isopropyl alcohol. Use compressed air to dry each caliper half through both the transfer port and the bleeder holes. Step 2. Caliper reassembly. Start the reassembly process with clean gloves and clean lint-free shop towels. Begin rebuilding your caliper by lightly lubricating your square seals with DOT 5.1 fluid and installing them into your caliper halves. Make sure each seal is properly seated within the seal grooves. Lightly coat each piston with DOT 5.1 fluid and carefully push them into their respective bores, making sure that the side marked pad is facing you. Press the pistons in until they seat at the bottom of the bore. If the piston does not push in easily, remove it and inspect the square seal to make sure it has not moved from its groove and try again. Once all pistons and square seals are properly installed, place the transfer port O-ring into the O-ring seat on the outer caliper half. Connect the two caliper halves together and install the bridge bolts until snug. Install your bleed screw using your T10 Torx wrench and torque to 12 inch-pounds or 1.5 Newton-meter. Mount the caliper to your spare bracket and secure it to the bench vise. Torque each bridge bolt to 170 inch-pounds or 19 Newton-meters. Once the caliper is fully assembled, reattach the hose using seals on each side of the banjo, and torque the banjo to 60 inch-pounds or 7 Newton meters and bleed the system following our Dominion bleed instructions. Clean using isopropyl alcohol, paying special attention to the piston area. Then, reinstall the brake to your bike following our installation guide and enjoy the ride. For information on the bleed procedure, installation guide, our conditional lifetime leak-proof warranty, or for a word-based summary of this process, please refer to our support section on hayesbrake.com/support. Thank you and enjoy the ride.